the curly hair of the Mukha Linga, the lingam is more or less damaged. But from the back, you can see the representation of Shiva. He's four-armed, and his crown is very unique. Again, has very interesting Sasanian features. Now, this is the activity that is happening between 6th, 7th, 8th century. This is a later sculpture. This is a sculpture. This is a lingam from Naranag, which is up in Gandharbal area. And this is where you find the Shiva Linga in three forms, which is the Shiva, Vishnu, Mahesh form. So the cylindrical form is the Shiva part, the octagonal is the Vishnu part, and what is embedded in the pedestal is a square shape, which is the Brahma part. So this is again a very strong iconographical feature of the Shiva Linga based on the Shilpa Shastras coming out of the Sanskritic tradition. More examples, I can move further. This is another unique bronze Mukhalinga, but it is not a Mukhalinga, it's actually half the body of Shiva represented on top of the lingam. This is a Chaturmukha lingam where you have 4 heads and 2 pairs of arms, and this is the kind of Mukhalinga which is actually called the Kosha Linga. So this is a bronze cover which would be placed on top of a stone lingam. So this type is very popular in Southeast Asia, in Nepal, and to find an example like this from Kashmir region is also a very special feature. Lastly, there is the composite heads that I have been talking about that sort of inspires me and interests me, is the Pancha Mahabhuta or the Pancha Lakshana, or the 5 heads, Panchanana Shiva. So this is again from Pandretan. This is a very large figure. The previous one was just the heads, but here the body is also intact, and again you can see a warrior-like features with the 3 heads of Shiva. One of them, the central face, is the Saumya face, the kind or the Shanta looking. The one on the left, on the right, is the Aghora face, which is the Raudra face, the angry face, and the one on the left is Uma Vamadev, which is the Saumya face of the goddess. So this is the composite representation, and here are the 5 elements, the 5 faces. They are called the Sadyojat, Vamadev, Aghora, Tatpurusha and Ishana, and each one has a direction and each one has a quality associated with the 5 elements, the Panchamahabhutas. And this is a very deep iconography which has already evolved prior to what we now call the Kashmir Shaivism, which is the more the abstract concept. So this is something that I wanted to highlight, and this also aligns with the Panchakshara mantra Nama Shivaya. So with this I will move into the other gods and goddesses that we find in the region of Kashmir, and the Panchayatana, that concept which evolves already from the post-Gupta period in central India and North India of the Nagara temple architecture. We don't find Panchayatana temples in Kashmir, but we do find Panchayatana worship practice, which is why we have Shiva, we have Vishnu, we have Ganesh, we have Surya, and we have the Shakti, the Durga, or any form of the mother goddess. And so some of the examples that I have found in the museum, in the Sri Pratap Singh Museum in Srinagar, they also align with that understandanding, or rather I derived that understanding from studying the material that I saw in the museum. And this particular 9th century Ganesha also has close association with the Hindu Shahi dynastic sculptures. For a reference. Coming to the Shiv Parivar, I have found a very important sculpture of standing Kartikeya from Brij Bihara, which is a 6th century sculpture. I'm not sure of the dating. I'm just following verbatim what is found in the museum, so that is why I'm actually putting the picture of the caption right next to the photo. this is something that needs deeper study and more material to be examined. So the dating is something that is absolutely open for interpretation and further research. But what is very important is that sculpturally, it's a very important example. Again, absorbing elements from post-Gupta, Central India, Eastern India, and later Gandharan elements like the drapery, folds of the drapery that you find in the, I've given you a detail here to highlight stucco, inspiration from stucco sculpture found on the Buddhist sculptures of Jaulian and Mohra Moradu, two Buddhist monasteries near Takshila. And the way the headgear, again, the jata mukuta is treated, the double, the billowing formation of the hair is again an inspiration of the Sasanian features that has been interpreted by the scholars. But what I also want you to notice is this large Vanamala. So Vanamala is a iconography of Vishnu, which I will show you later. But in Kashmir, all the sculptures, Shiva, Vishnu, Kartikeya, all have the Vanamala and the sacred thread as well, which is a feature that is interesting to notice. Another image of Kartikeya. Here now he's seated. He's seated in what is called the Maharaja Leelasan on his peacock mount. And very interestingly, he holds the Akshamala, that is the prayer beads, and the posture, the gesture of the hand. This is the teaching gesture, the Chin Mudra. And the way his veil, the spear is placed, or like what he's holding, it almost looks like a teacher. You know, the Tridandi, the Dandin scholars that you find in the Indic tradition. So this was something quite uncanny. Now again moving to the next iconography. I know my time is running. This is the Chaturbhuja Vishnu. So now I will focus a bit on the Vishnu sculptures. And the Vanamala, as I pointed out, is the very prominent garland which goes around his two elbows all the way up to his thighs or the knees. And again, the musculature makes Vishnu also look like a warrior. This is a 7th century sculpture from the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This is a very interesting back view of the same sculpture. Here he's seen wearing dhoti and not the Sasanian or the northwestern Gandharan costume. He also wears the sacred thread. But very interestingly, the hair is treated with much details, and it also has a ribbon to tie the diadem. More examples from SPS Museum. This is a Chaturbhuja Vishnu. Here the iconography is so the difference between this sculpture and this sculpture is that this is four-armed, and on the upper arms he's holding the conch and the lotus, but below he's holding the two Ayudha Purushas or the Ayudhas, the weapons in human personified form. Now this is something that comes or evolves in the Indian iconography, Shilpa Shastra from the 5th, maybe even in the Kushana period, 3rd, 4th century, but we have examples of it from the Gupta period. Sorry, I will switch to this so that I can show you that. Okay, I don't seem to have that slide. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to show a Gupta period sculpture, but it didn't seem to save. But anyway, there is a Mathura Gupta 5th century sculpture of the same iconography, which gives us the reference to the early representation of the weapons as persons, as humans, and that goes all the way up to the early Gupta temple architecture of Udaygiri and Nachina Kuthara and these sites from where very early examples of Vishnu representation comes. This is Surya, again a very important deity from the point of view that Kashmir has one of the greatest temples dedicated to Surya. So Surya is part of the Panchayatana concept I just referred to earlier. And you can see most of the gods have mustaches also, which is a unique feature, because in the Indian concept, the Shilpa Shastra, the deity is supposed to look youthful, so there will never be a representation of mustache. But in the context of Kashmir, the sculptors have chosen to represent them more manly, so therefore there is always a mustache, whether it is Ekamukhalinga or Surya or sometimes Vishnu as well. We also have representation of Gajalakshmi. This is a Gajalakshmi from the collection of the Met, and there's another one from the collection of the British Museum. What is very unique to notice here is again the Sasanian costume. She not only wears this long tunic with folds in her drapery, but she also has boots, which is a unique feature for a goddess. And in this case, you see her being given respect or worship by two attendants pouring pots of water on her. And in the previous example, you see it's called the Gajalakshmi because there are two elephants represented on the sides. So this Gajalakshmi iconography is therefore a very, very old one, comes from Gupta and post-Gupta period. Yet there is another example of Narasimha, yet another avatara of Vishnu. So I will go faster just to complete the representation. What is again very unique to Kashmir is that we have iconography of icons, which could be part of worship, or they would be placed in a central location, if not in the Garbhagriha. But we don't have narrative reliefs or narratives dotted around the temples. So this Gajendra Moksha is a very unique example from the collection of the Met of the 8th, 9th century, possibly from Avantipur or any other site. I'm not very sure, but we don't have examples of Puranic stories being illustrated in the sculptures. Now I come to the last and the most important iconography, which is the iconography of Vishnu as Vaikuntha. So here there are two theories or two philosophies. One is the Avatara philosophy, the Dasha Avatara, the 10 incarnations of Vishnu. And the second is the Vyuhavada or the Vyuha concept, where it's a Pancharatra concept, where the Vishnu in the form of Krishna and his clan is identified as the heroes, and so Vyuhavada therefore emerges out of the region of Mathura and Vrindavan, and then becomes codified into a more higher philosophical concept where the Krishnavatar aspect of Vishnu is emblematic of Vishnu as Paravasudeva, the ultimate super consciousness of Vishnu. So this is a concept that is very interesting, that evolves again from Gupta period, and we have examples of that very widely practiced or produced in the area of Kashmir. So the central face is Vaikuntha, which is Vasudeva. Okay, I'll show you a better photo. North is Narasimha, which represents Shankarshana or Balarama, representing knowledge and wisdom. The other side is Varaha, which represents Aniruddha, the son of Pradyumna. And in Kashmir, you also have the reference to Pradyumna represented at the back, which is called the Kapila or the Raudra face, which represents Aishwarya. So in terms of looking at the pattern, like how and why is Vaikuntha Vishnu so popular across central India, North India, all the way up to Kashmir. So we have examples of even Hindu Shahis making examples or making